All right, we're ready for session 6, and we're going to be looking at days 1 to 3 of week 4 in our textbook. So we're looking at commandments 6, 7, and 8 today specifically. So what's the sign for 6? Commandment number 6? Yeah, as Jen says, kapow, thou shalt not murder. Why is murder so offensive to God?
Made in God's image.
Oh, we're made in God's image. Do you ever think about that? When people kill people, they're trying to kill God, you know, in a sense, because those people represent God. How about, does the Bible forbid all killing? Can you think of some examples when killing someone would not constitute murder?
Wars.
There's wars. Oh, sadly, there are wars. Yes. Corporal punishment. When someone, I always think of the, was it Timothy McVeigh? Was that the guy that blew up the Oklahoma City federal building? You know, I told the ladies last night, I was in Bangladesh when that occurred, but that, just thinking of him blowing up and even little babies being there, and little children, you know. And I thought he deserves the death penalty, and I'm glad he's getting it.
Yes.
But I happened to be in a prayer meeting the morning that they were going to inject him, and it was right at the time, and for some reason that popped into my head. This is the moment that needle could be going into his arm. And all of a sudden, I wasn't glad. I was just overwhelmingly sorrowful that his life had gone that way and that he had to pay the price and probably go into a priceless eternity. I thought, that's nothing to be glad about. Even though I thought I was going to be glad to have the earth rid of him. He got justice. But you know, God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. But anyway, yeah. But there are times when we are required to do justly. And God says, I give you authority so that people will tremble and be in fear and will maybe not commit crimes, but they're there to do that. So yeah, those are some times. And I think sometimes maybe just an accident. You're driving along and all of a sudden some little kid darts out from between two cars. No way you could have seen him and you hit him. Well, that's not murder because that wasn't your intent, you know. So, yeah, but anyway, but all too often, the evil intent is there. And, now, number 3, most of us can honestly say we have never committed murder. At least I hope we all can say that. Does this mean that we have honored the intent of the 6th commandment? No. No. Why do you say no? Why?
Jesus talks about our hearts. If we have hatred toward another person, it's the same thing.
Right, right. It's always a heart issue with God that he's most concerned with. And because and Jen will just develop that progression, starting with anger, and then leading to contempt, and then leading to the idea, the world doesn't really need you, you're worthless. You know, just off you. Now, she always has had us reverse. Down in question number 4, the 6th commandment is stated in a negative, do not murder. How should we state it as a positive? If we don't murder somebody, what should we do?
Love them.
Oh, love them, okay.
Live peaceably.
Live peaceably with them, if at all possible, as much as it relies on us. We should try to bless them. Bless those that curse you, you know. So yeah, we are to be God's representative in the midst of that situation, as hard as that is. And there are times when it's very hard. Okay. And another thing is, we should respect the image of God in that person. Even if they've done something that hurt us or we don't agree with and we think is wrong, they're still made in God's image, and we can respect that whether we agree with what they have done or not. But anyway, let's go on to the next one, the 7th command. And the sign is Number 7, whoop, the bride and groom on the wedding cake. Yep, thou shalt not commit adultery. And she starts out with kind of an interesting question, I thought. She says, why isn't adultery taken seriously in our culture? She doesn't even try to establish the fact that it is. I think we all would say, yep.
It's
Why do you-
become accepted, it's no big deal anymore.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
We go on our feelings a lot of the time, not what's right and wrong, what feels good to me.
Yeah, and your truth is your truth. There is no absolute truth. We've gone away from that concept. We've taken the 10 Commandments off the walls in too many places. Well, if you take away that, what do you have left? Nothing, you know, so I think there's been the fear of God has gotten less and less and less in our culture. And I think we think, two consenting adults, they can decide. Well, wait a minute, whose rule is it anyway? You know? So I don't care if they consent or not, they're consenting to do what's wrong in God's sight, you know, yeah. But anyway, yeah, our culture is a very dark culture. What makes adultery such a damaging sin?
It's breaking a bond.
It's breaking a bond, breaking a heart. Yeah,
But there's more people involved
Yes.
yes,
in the picture.
yeah. Mhm.
We sin against our own bodies. you know.
Okay, it's hurting us, it's hurting the person that we were married to, and the other person's family, and our family, and just on and on. And then, because of the example we're setting, it's hurting our culture. Everything that we do like that other people see, and eventually that kind of sin is a visible one. You know, it just, yeah, it's just a downward spiral. Okay, so, again, if we are not to commit adultery, what are we to do? How are we to relate? I had to be absolutely faithful in every way, in our thoughts, in our words, as well as in our deeds.
We should always remember to respect God's law.
Respect God's law, yeah. And Timothy was told, flee, run away from those temptations. Don't just stand there and put yourself in harm's way. Don't go down the street where you know there's all those advertisements for garbage, you know.
It also has to play with who we hang out with.
Who we hang out with.
We
yeah.
may not go to their places, but we're still being fed their thoughts.
So it's kind of be holy. Be holy because I am holy, says God. And God is utterly faithful, and He wants us to reflect that. All right, and then what's the 8th commandment? Yep, the little prison bars. Thou shalt not steal. Now she asked a question, how does that one, you shall not steal, flow logically from don't commit adultery?
Adultery with another person's spouse is stealing from them.
Okay, you're stealing something, you're taking something that isn't yours.
It's a covenant. You want what they have.
Yeah, you want what they have. So it's either stuff or a person, but in both cases you're stealing, or a relationship, you might say, you're stealing something that didn't belong to you. And then she starts meddling. What's the danger of a Christian justifying minor theft? Like taking advantage of an incorrect restaurant bill. I got a cheap meal today, you know, or copying music she didn't buy, or taking a sick day when she isn't sick because she really wanted to go to the Amish country and shop or whatever, you know.
Sometimes I think you think I won't get caught. Or
Okay,
I won't, no one will ever know.
yeah.
Yeah.
We tell ourselves those kind of lies.
But we're really stealing from God.
We're, okay, that, yep. Because
You're
again,
just opening the door.
you're opening the door.
to.
Bigger and better things.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the verse, he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much, and he who is unfaithful in little will be unfaithful in much. When you plant a seed, what happens? If it's got suitable soil and water, it'll grow, and then what does it do?
It bears fruit.
It bears fruit. And usually a lot more, you put in one seed, but you don't get just one kernel of corn when the corn thing comes up, right? You plant a bean, but you get a lot of beans. And I think you plant a sin, you're gonna reap a big harvest, and it probably won't be a harvest you want.
You see, you want, you take.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, we know the danger, you know, it just, one thing leads to another, to another, to another. Okay, well, I think with that, we will go to the video and this stops.